Hey, folks. Happy Halloween and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson, and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us, folks. And Jason, we set a record today. Let us celebrate this momentous occasion here. Kagan Girl, as always, first in the chat. But Market Zero and Paul Reese joined us in the chat before the broadcast officially kicked off here. Folks, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us so early. Thank you for joining us as we, Jason, expose just the most absurd dem lies ever. When you thought they hit rock bottom, there's always room to go. They can keep on digging.
I got to say, as we wrap up, and folks, let us know in the chat. By the way, if you're tuning in, we're out there on a bunch of Facebook pages, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, or no, not Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. We encourage everybody, go to Rumble. That's where they let us have free speech. We do the podcast for about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. First hour's on all the platforms. Then the spicy stuff we talk about on Rumble. We'll build a community over there. That's why our chat is really active and popping over there. So if you're on some of the other platforms, we love you. We appreciate you sometime making a Rumble. And let us know what you think. We went Halloween themed because it's scary times, Todd, right?
Very scary if you're a Democrat. They're in full panic mode. I'm always kind of scared in the background. Just what happens if Democrats get in power again, Jason? But I gotta say here, we don't talk to Christopher Anthony if you're over on Facebook. He will not pay you. He will not pay you. We're getting rid of him.
And Francis with the line of the day. I want my. How come nobody in all the videos I've seen about EBT has made an I want my EBT set to Dire Straits, I want my MTV? Can't you imagine that? Like somebody chimping out in the grocery store. I want my EBT. I don't know. Is it just me, Todd?
I think we should make an AI video and share that.
Oh, we should. Yeah, and I got to say that a lot of the stuff we're going through today, we're going to have some fun. We're going to laugh and cry. But a lot of this is you have to laugh about it or you'll cry about it because some of this stuff is really dire. Like when they first announced 40 million people plus were being cut off for EBT, what was your first reaction, Todd?
Well, I had two. Number one, I was like, well, I hope these people are going to be okay. But then at the same time, I was like, 40 million Americans are getting food support from me and you and our audience. 40 million is just way too high. So I immediately went from like, I feel bad for them to like, we need to end this program immediately. Creating dependence on the government is never the answer here. And boy, oh boy, Jason, do they feel entitled to those bennies now?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We've all seen the videos floating around social media and what's going on with that. But I think some of those are not necessarily true. I mean, we'll see what happens in a couple days. My wife and I are joking. We're going to go grocery shopping this afternoon to get it out of the way. Normally, we'd do it on the weekend, just in case there's anything nuts. But I'm like, okay, so you see the videos, and is that a one-off? So I start running through the numbers. 20 million of the people on SNAP are aged 18 to 59 and able-bodied, as defined by how they filled out their profile. Julie's back. Julie, you might be one of my favorite chats of the week when I get to see Julie.
Every time Toby go away. Julie, did you know that 40 million Americans are on SNAP? Most of them are able to work. And Jason, did you have the percent of those that are not born in America?
Yeah, that's funny because they'll say only like, I forget the number off the top of my head, like 2 million. So like 5 or 10% of them are foreign born or illegal or refugee. And then I start breaking down, like immigration law says part of coming into America says you won't be a ward of the state. So there's actually immigration law that says if you come into America, you have to be able to demonstrate your ability to be self-sufficient. And they get around that by calling people refugees. And refugees can be not self-sufficient because they're fleeing being killed or whatever, which isn't the case. They're economic migrants is what they are. And of those, 60% of the people who are in the country illegally or as refugee status, 60% are reliant on some form of government assistance. Todd,
It's wild. It's wild. You know, you go to a national park, don't feed the wildlife. What do we think happens when you start feeding the wildlife in these American cities? And you know, the bulk of SNAP spending is going to American citizens. We can be honest about that. But Jason, I look at these numbers and I think, gosh, that number should be 0 across the board when you talk about food stamps by ethnicity or immigration status. It's bad enough that I go to work every day and you go to work every day, and I have less money to buy food for my own family than these people that have my stolen money redistributed to them. They do just fine now. But then I look at this and I think, wait a minute. So not only are American citizens stealing from me, but now people that don't even belong in this country get to steal from me. Half of the Afghan population in the United States is on food stamps. Almost half of the Somali population. And I got to be honest, Jason, I don't believe these numbers. We live in Minnesota. We've driven through Minneapolis here. That number's got to be double. If I had to guess what the real number was, it would be double for that population.
Well, and what blows me away about this too, and we talk about it all the time on this podcast, the folks that have come in do not want to be American. They hate Christianity. They don't like capitalism. They despise everything you stand for. And we're going to get into it at the end of the hour. And as we roll into Rumble only, because we might get spicy, there was a great clip where J.D. Vance made all the lefties mad, saying people coming to America should speak English because, oh, I'd like to speak to my neighbor. And it's like, think of that. If your minimum requirement coming to America is you have to speak the language, and that is a bridge too far for people. Like literally, some people are so debased, they don't understand about, they have so little respect for themselves that they want somebody to come into the country and not even expect them to learn the language. I do not want to pick up the phone and hit 1 for Spanish, 2 for Ethiopian, 3 for Somali, and 4 for English. We're an English-speaking country like that. How can we not just say, how can we all not agree? Like, okay, so they don't need to be Christian. Can they at least speak English? No, that's a bridge too far. Drives me freaking bananas, Todd.
Well, and you know it's all a scam. They've just been brainwashed to hate themselves. It's the ultimate practice of self-loathing. Because if you ask them, like, should Japan be allowed to remain homogenous and be Japanese? They'd be like, yeah, the Japanese can have Japan. What about the Chinese? What about the Russian? What about the Nigerians? If you go down the list of every country and ethnicity, they'd be like, yeah, they can keep their country. How come only when it's applied to America are we not allowed to retain some American identity? And nobody likes to admit it, but this is a white Christian nation. Doesn't mean you can't be here if you're not white and Christian, but that is the majority population, and America only survives if it remains in that position. So they can all shove it as far as I am concerned anymore. It is a white Christian nation. I'm allowed to say who gets to come in here or not. Jason, the comments are flying here. I had to scroll back up. I really like Connie's comment over on Facebook. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. It's not the Americans losing their SNAP benefits that the Democrats are worried about. It's the illegals, their future voters. Yeah, this could not be more obvious. Democrats simply hate you. They do not care. They are apathetic to your plight here. If they cared about your SNAP and EBT, they would have voted 1 out of 13 times simply to reopen the government and then negotiate this later on down the line here when they have to get the next spending bill. But they shut it off right now because they hate Donald Trump so much. Their hatred surpasses that of their care and concern for you, which is already very little.
Right. Well, and it's funny too, because they try to weaponize your faith against you. And that's a great line by Connie too. Isn't it weird that in America our flag and culture offends many people, but our benefits don't? I love when they scream, oh, your race's biggest horrible country, rah rah rah. Well, what do you mean you're not letting me in? Well, you think we're racist bigots. Go home. Don't come here. Like, we don't want you. You think this country's horrible. Then go home. And Michael, need to assimilate those rules if you're going to become a citizen. I'm going to go further, Michael. If you're going to come in our country, you need to assimilate. And you need to say, like, I'm going into a capitalist Judeo-Christian country. I am going to adhere to those social norms. And if I don't want to, I'm going to stay in my country that has different beliefs. And for those who watch this show every week, we drive that home because, you know, if you want to let somebody in and they want to be an American, I'm good. You know, black, blue, yellow, whatever race, I don't care. But if you show up and you fundamentally hate America, Judeo-Christian values, capitalists, you need to go home. You need to just not come here, Todd.
Which is also a call for deportation among these deluded libs out there that share the same values as these immigrants, hate this country, hate the religious values that founded this country here. Again, they just love the benefits. Market Zero, always on point here. Democrats are frauds about everything. I made a video about this morning, Jason, for our articles at theamericantribune.com. Check it out, folks. Dems want their slaves back. When it comes to issues, there are zero principles from Democrats. Slavery bad. America founded on white supremacy here. But modern day slavery, you can buy things made in China. You can import an entire class of slaves from the southern border here. That is perfectly fine. Import labor, import voters. That is the entire agenda with open borders here. None of that is complicated. And then, Jason, as we get into our first videos, we're going to talk about assaulting federal agents. And again, just to point out the hypocrisy really fast, do you remember a couple years ago we almost lost democracy because some federal agents got attacked in Washington, D.C.? That was really bad. Now, fast forward a couple years, and it's okay. Not only is it okay, it is encouraged because you're fighting, you're resisting. So I don't know which one, depending on the day, if it's you're fighting a federal agent or not. I guess we got to listen to Democrats for if that's good or bad.
It's our friend Kat. I got to make 2 points, though, before we get to Kat. Point one, so let's take out the fact that Democrat politicians are evil, awful, horrible people, and they want to destroy America. That's a big ask, but let's put ourselves in the world where, okay, I'm a Democrat voter, okay? At some point, as you see SNAP benefits getting cut off, you would think these people that want socialism, and it's really communism, but let's say socialism, be generous, you would think they would see a worry going, wait a second, when we put the government in charge of feeding us all through socialism, do you notice they can shut it off? They can just hit the button. And is there any connection between those two thoughts? Like, I'm a socialist, I want government to give everybody food. Oh, crap, government can shut off food. One might think that would be the stick the hand on the stove moment, where it's like, maybe putting government in charge of feeding us is a horrible idea. Second, when they talk about importing all these people and, you know, the numbers show they're on welfare, the government's funding them because we don't have Americans that will work the fields and harvest the crops. But these folks you're bringing in aren't going to do that forever. They are eventually going to become Americanized, and they're going to say, well, I don't want to pick, like, you get to sit there on your duff collecting welfare, collecting SNAP benefits, and like, I'm Hispanic, we got big families, we got a lot of kids. Why am I out in the field harvesting crops for prices you won't want to do it for? And you're starting to see that in those red states. The illegals you're letting in, like, you buy yourself some time. Yeah, the government can pay them benefits, they can harvest crops, but eventually they're going to become just as entitled as the Americans. It is, I don't understand how they don't see this logic, Todd.
Well, you asked you were asking them to think, Jason. They don't think, they accept their programming here. I know we had a video clip, but Jason, I want to touch on this because you and I'm railing at SNAP. I want the entire program to be gutted and completely. I want it shut down. I want $0 handed out in the form of welfare and SNAP and EBT. Mike writes over on Facebook, I'm one day before 60, started working through papers at 13, single father, worked until 52, found out couldn't work now because of physical health problems. On SSDI and get less than $100 in SNAP. With both of that, I get a little over $1,000 to live on a month, pay the bills, get food, and do not complain at all. I think we have some other members in our audience that also receive some sort of benefit as well. And you are the victims in this entire scam. See, the program had good intentions, and I would be happy with a program that operated honestly and transparently and actually went to the people that needed it. If you're someone like Mike over on Facebook here, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting. Yeah, I want a safety net in place for you if you've worked your whole life, you're an American citizen, you contributed to the country, you got hurt, we'll take care of you. I'm fine with that. The problem is Democrats abuse all of these programs, and so there's only one way to go, and that's completely turning it off in my mind. Same thing with the immigration situation. We always had some agreement in America, a couple of million illegals in the country doing some labor maybe we don't want to do. We kind of lived with that. And then Joe Biden opened the floodgates and said, 20 million of you, here you go. Why don't you ruin the demographics of these small towns here? Same thing. The only option is the nuclear option and saying you all got to go now. But again, it's the victims here that you weren't doing anything wrong, collecting your Social Security as an American, but the program got abused intentionally by Democrats. And I don't know how you fix it with a little hammer. You just got to take a wrecking ball and just demolish it.
Yeah, and I mean, illegals all need to go. And frankly, the social contract, and actually, great comment by Michelle. What about disabled people, veterans? They deserve to get EBT. The system is needed, but to be reassessed, no freeloaders. In the country, if you go back and look at your Judeo-Christian values, you had, and it's funny, Todd and I were business partners with a few other guys. We have this basic principle. We understand everybody has different skills and capabilities, and we all agree everybody is going to work to the maximum of our capacity. You know, we had the gentleman a minute ago talking about delivering papers, and, you know, he did what he could do. And that's all you ask of people, is that they do what they can do. They work hard like you work hard, and there is a social contract. And I got no problem helping somebody disadvantaged, somebody disabled, somebody who, you know, a veteran. I think veterans deserve everything. Like, you actually served in the military to keep this nation safe. God love you. Like, no issues with any of that. But when we have a situation, and Todd and I have run into it in our business where we tried to bring somebody on, their work ethic wasn't ours. And they stuck out like a sore thumb. And it was, if you're not going to put in the work and grind as hard as we do, then we are not going to subsidize you. And, you know, even like friends, family, that kind of thing, when you see people that are not working hard, or are you doing anything? Are you going to school? Are you taking an online class? Are you volunteering at least to be a nice member of the community? No. Well, yeah, then I don't feel bad for your SNAP being cut off. Although the worst ones, Todd, we went into a riff on SNAP. The worst ones are when I see these guys like, I'm doing good for myself, and I started out poor, and I am so mad my tax dollars aren't going to pay my mom's SNAP. Those people can burn in, you know where. Got to be careful because we're on some of these platforms. If you are doing well, even if you aren't doing well and you're not taking of your parents or your kids, there is a special place in hell for you. Because if your parents need something, you help them out. Like, that's what you do. That used to be part of that social contract we had. That's why you had kids. They need to help us do what we do. And when I get old, they're going to help take care of me. If you have outsourced that basic dignity to the federal government, and somehow and some of these guys are like really pretty well off, it sounds like. And they're like, I can't believe they cut off the $400 a month to my mom's SNAP. That's crap. I'm like, bro, take care of your mom. Like, what kind of awful person are you?
Well, yeah, you know, and I've been listening a lot to J.B. Pritzker lately. I hate myself for that, but he's over there railing against the National Guard and deporting illegals in Chicago. Now on the SNAP thing, J.B. Pritzker is worth billions of dollars. He could keep SNAP going just like a private donor kept military paid for a while with the shutdown going on. How many dollars has J.B. Pritzker donated? How many dollars has Oprah donated? How about Beyonce? What about Taylor Swift? What about all these billionaires that support Democrat politicians? And you can trickle down to the millionaires. Certainly you could feed or sponsor a family, but they never do that. They never do that because they actually don't care. I think people need to understand this. They actually don't care about you. They are apathetic to you, like I said earlier here. They want it for power. They want to frame Republicans as the bad guys. They want to sit in power, and they're not going to help anybody else anymore when they get into power. But it's all a fraud. It is a giant fraud. And Steve Carney is having a hard time accepting that because he says it is complete horse from the horse's A. So, Steve, I encourage you to stick around a little bit longer here to help you change your mind if possible.
And I got to say, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's saying the program was the horse's A. I don't know. All right, we've ranted about SNAP. I think the audience is in agreement. We're going to go a little offbeat here. We're going to talk about, for those who are longer time viewers of the show, you remember a few months ago, we introduced you to a social media influencer from Chicago that was going to be a new member of the squad. Her name is Kat something Azerbaijan. I can't pronounce it. Where was she from? Palestine or something?
She's Palestinian, but she actually interned in D.C. most recently. Did you know she's only been in Illinois for like 9 months, Jason?
Yeah. She just moved there, and now she's trying to run for House. There's a good chance she is going to be the nominee. You saw it here first. We went through her whole platform. It is Communism 101. We sprinkle in clips every now and then. And this week, Kat was back in the news. So if you're a Freedom from the Press viewer, like a year from now, when Kat's up there standing next to AOC, you can be like, I remember when my friends Jason and Todd told me about Kat. Like, she is crazy. And look at her. And so she came out. She was in the news a month or so ago. She was at an ICE protest in Chicago. So these vehicles you see are ICE agents attempting to get in and get out of the facility. Should we roll the tape, Todd?
Oh.
Look at that blonde right in the middle.
Up with liberation! Up with liberation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Up with liberation!
Huh. Now, at the time,
when I cross the sidewalk, Jason, that's all it looks like. I'm just trying to get from one side to the other.
Yeah, so you think about that. Somebody running for office in the House of Representatives. Right now, she's just trying to get the Democrat nomination. Down with deportation. So you don't like the duly elected government, what they're doing, even though America voted for that. You are literally impeding federal officers from entering their facility and doing their job. I mean, if we were Democrats, we'd be screaming, this is worse than 9/11, worse than January 6th. Because when January 6th happened, all the people that did that were supposed to be thrown in the gulag for years. And I'll be honest. Oh, should we play the clip of her getting thrown around like a rag doll?
I like that one even more, Jason.
So this is how ICE responded the day of.
Hold on, Jason. It disappeared out of our library. Give me a second. Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Listen to that impact.
Oh. So the ICE agents, at the time that video was going nuts, we played it on the podcast. Like, they picked her up through a round and she was screaming like assault or whatever. My opinion was the ICE officer was far too lenient because they are doing a super dangerous job. And if you are making my job more dangerous, lock her up, handcuff her, don't really care. Todd, I fully support the ICE agent. I thought he was too kind. But then surprisingly, this week they came out, they dropped 6 federal charges on her for impeding a ICE. Were you shocked when you saw that, Todd?
Well, shocked only that we have never had Republicans, when they're in power, do anything substantial. I mean, reverse the roles here. Would you be shocked if a Republican candidate tried that with a Democrat in power? Like, they would have been arrested immediately the day of, and they would never see the light of day again. When it's reversed, you're like, well, that happened a month ago, and I guess she's running for office, and that's that. The Trump admin is saying no more games. We're going to protect our ICE agents. We're not going to play around with these communist losers anymore. So, yeah, they threw the book at her, as they should. And Jason, we have a clip. She's going to be like, this is political persecution, and I'm just going to show you the Trump mugshot while we're at it. But there's the video, folks. You saw it. She's not crossing a sidewalk. She is hammering on a car. She is stopping them, preventing them from doing their job. You can't do that. But where do you want to go, Jason? Do you want to listen to her individual?
Let's hear her response.
Do you want to listen to her rage quit on an interview when she gets called out?
Oh, no. Let's do the response first from her.
All right.
And this is a reality Democrats are
in the
living
9th District of Illinois. And the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center. This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment. This case is a major push by the Trump administration to criminalize protest and punish anyone who speaks.
All right, Jason. I think it's important to define terms. When you think about the word protest, let me share what I picture in my head when I hear of protest. I'm picturing you organized on the street, on a sidewalk. You're chanting. If you're a Democrat, you're chanting stupid things. You have stupid signs you're holding up. Nobody cares what you say as you drive by and you honk your horn and maybe flip them the bird, but you're allowed to stand there. You're allowed to voice your concerns. No one in their right mind believes that what we saw in that previous video was simply a protest. That was agitation. That was violence. That was physical incursion in the space there. I think the driver would have been justified to hit the gas and just go through the crowd, to be honest. But just so we're defining terms, what you saw was not a protest.
And here's what's funny. Democrats, like, she is a young millennial influencer, so she does all the TikTok, the videos, that kind of thing. They're going to see this and they're going to hear all those buzzwords.
Yep.
They're silencing dissent. It's the fascist, which we'll play a little more of this just so you get a flavor. But you all just saw the video. And we like to use the line, share this content with maybe people you don't politically agree with, because maybe they didn't see what she was doing. Those were ICE agents driving a vehicle out of an ICE facility to do law enforcement. That is not a protest. Frankly, I'm appalled only 6 people got charged. Everybody doing that should have been charged. ICE and law enforcement have dangerous enough jobs without letting these lunatics do that. But let's let Kat continue.
It's out against them. That's why I'm going to fight these unjust charges, but I need your help to do it. As I and others have exercised our First Amendment rights, ICE has hit, dragged, thrown, shot with pepper balls, and tear gassed hundreds of protesters, simply because we had the gall.
I always like to point out the numbers here because I think when viewers, especially Dem voters, are like hundreds of protesters got gassed and had rubber bullets, that's awful. I'm upset by that, Jason. I'm equally upset, but I'm mad it's not 1,000. Every single person at these events should be hit with gas, should be hit with rubber bullets. You can't play games with anymore. So yeah, you're going to be like, oh no, 100 people. Oh no, 6 indictments. I want more. I want more all the time when it comes to this.
To say that masked men coming into our communities, abducting our neighbors, and terrorizing us cannot be our new normal. And because Chicago doesn't back down from bullies in masks who tear gas our neighborhoods, this administration has resorted to weaponizing the federal justice system to scare us into silence. But we're not going to be silent. The Trump administration wants you to be afraid of speaking out against it and its anti-democratic power grabs. And there are plenty of reasons to be afraid right now, but we have to overcome that fear.
I honestly can't, Jason. I can't listen to any more of this nonsense here. Every single thing she says is a lie. It is a blatant lie. She can make this video about the Trump administration, and she's also decrying this anti-democratic, fascist, like censorial regime. It's like, no, you just posted this on social media. You're just fine. You're getting arrested because you blocked and hammered a car. Big difference, lady. Big difference.
Well, yeah, and it pains me to play this because, like, listening to this stupidity, it just makes me want to, like, punch my computer screen. Yeah. Like, oh my God. People believe this.
Yeah.
And those people have the right to vote. And how can she get out there? And do you notice too? She's like, donate to me. Listen, lady, you're lucky you didn't get run over. You're lucky you didn't get tased. I somebody in there earlier, like, where's the pepper ball lace cannons? Like, we probably can't play it on the Facebook or the YouTube, but in some countries they have the military trucks come out with water cannons and just, you know, protest all you want. I'm not going to let you get away with the narrative that stopping a federal officer from doing their job is a protest. It is not. That is not protest. You are lying. But little glimmer of hope. Should we play the Tara clip next?
Well, and can we set up Tara? She is no friend of the America First movement. I mean, she's asking some decent questions here. She's not a far-right podcaster. She votes Democrat. She is on this chick's side. But again, you're going to start seeing the divide here. It's people like Chuck Schumer that are terrified of the radical base, terrified of the AOCs, and people like this cat lady here. Normie Dems, I don't know if you can wake up Normie Dems still. The TDS is strong. But even she is like, can you comment on this tape?
Quote, surrounded a federal officer's vehicle, banged on its hood and windows, etched pig on the side and impeded movement. Did you etch the word pig on the side of an officer's car?
I'm not speaking to the specifics of anything that's in the indictment right now, but like I said, I do plan on pleading not guilty, and the evidence will come out in court, and I plan on winning.
Okay. Well, let's watch the video of what happened that day that they are.
Up with liberation! Up with liberation! Down, down with deportation! Down, down with deportation! Up with liberation!
But when you see that, what do you think right now?
Tara, once again, this is my first time being federally indicted. Like I said,
Yeah.
I plan on pleading not guilty. The evidence will come out in court, and I plan on winning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Just really quickly, I did want to ask you about just the fact that conspiracy to impede an officer is up to 6 years in prison, forcibly impeding and intimidating an officer is up to 8 years. Is that that could actually hinder your ability to serve in Congress? Are you concerned about that? Did she just sign off?
They can never defend their position. Never.
I found that clip. And Kat, I gotta say, viewers of the Freedom from the Press podcast, we love to give you guys news before the news. We love to introduce you to Kat. You're gonna keep seeing her. I would be shocked if she's not up on stage with the squad next year. Democrats are gonna vote for her. She is going to win. But this is so ridiculous. They go on this Tara Palmieri show, who is friendly, and she asks the most gentle question ever, like you're charged with this, and here's the video of what you did, and this looks kind of bad. And she's like, "Thank you for having me." Click, and she logs off in the interview. These folks, you know what Kat was thinking is she's thinking, I'm gonna go on Tara's show. I'm gonna get to name drop federal agents in mass that are terrorizing our community and they're silencing my free speech. This is fascism. And you shine just a little light to it. Hey, let's see what you did. And they collapse and run for the hills.
Well, Jason, that's because that's not all the evidence. You see, evidence is going to come out in court that exonerates her. It'll justify the not guilty plea. That video clip, it must have been edited out of context because that never happens in media. Jason, we missed this comment, by the way. I love trolls. This is just right-wing propaganda, not even news. Aris, thank you for watching and that absurd comment here. I guess if you're calling this propaganda, I'm curious if we have any Dem trolls in the audience here that have just watched the video of her impeding law enforcement. What part of that is propaganda here? And I guarantee these people, again, because they have no principles, they don't care, they would be outraged if a Trump supporter got in the way of a Biden limousine or some analogous comparison to whatever Donald Trump is doing with justified deportations. But sure, right-wing propaganda, Jason.
Well, and Linda, Facebook's just popping today, folks. Thank you. It's funny. We push the envelope. We get a little spicy on the podcast. That's why we do a Rumble only section, because we get really fiery over there. It's our favorite half hour of the week getting to talk to our Rumble peeps. And Facebook's letting us have a little more leeway. And I love it because a lot of just normal Americans with just great takes are coming out and hoping you're finding community with the audiences. But Linda Ann had a truly remarkable comment. The Democrats know all this is wrong. The things they are doing and supporting, they know. They know open borders on a nation isn't a nation. They know illegal criminals need to be apprehended. They know aborting for inconvenience up to birth is wrong. They know interfering with law and order is wrong. They know certain people are preying on our children is wrong. Letting criminals go free, attacking law enforcement, attacking, killing people because they've refused to follow. And the comments go on. Here's the terrifying thing, Linda. And this is one thing we try to drive home in this podcast. Let's take the Democrat politicians out. They're evil, awful. They all belong in Gitmo. Your normal Democrat voter, your normal Democrat neighbor, and we learned this in Charlie Kirk. Charlie, very moderate Republican, truth be told, very moderate Christian. They shot him and they celebrated. You are going to see tonight Halloween costumes about Charlie Kirk. And I don't know if the average Democrat voter feels that way. And like, I agree with you. I talk about normie Dems. One of my best friends is a normie Dem. We're getting together tomorrow for lunch. You know, I could show him that clip and he'd be like, that girl belongs in jail. She shouldn't be running for office. But too many Democrats have become brainwashed and they're getting more violent. They're getting more extreme while calling us extreme. And that is the terrifying, terrifying time that we live in. And that's why it's important that we all understand that. You know, my wife, after Charlie got murdered, assassinated, she hasn't been on Facebook since because she saw normal friends of her that happen to be Democrat. They're like, he got what's coming to him. And it's just this chilling time in American history. You're going to show this to Democrat voters. Like, look at her. She is stopping ICE from pulling out of their lot, and you're voting for her. Jay Jones next week in Virginia. Is it Virginia?
Virginia.
He is going to be elected attorney general. There's a really good chance, probably 50-50. He was texting about how he would be okay with the murder of his Republicans opponents because kids. So he was texting, the texts have been released. I'm okay if they die. And people are still going to vote for him. Like, that should have been disqualifying. Like, oh my God, we can't let this guy anywhere near power. Millions in Virginia are going to vote for him. And it scares the heck out of me. And I think it's important. We look at this as normal people and go, okay, that lady's a clown. She should be locked up. She can't even respond to a basic question. You know, what she did was horrible. I'm glad they charged her with the crime. You know, who knows what those ICE agents were trying to leave to go do. But Democrats will still vote for her. And it terrifies me that that's where we're getting with this, Todd.
Absolutely. I have a short Kamala clip I want to play, Jason, because it highlights the problem we have with Democrats, their inability to think rationally about anything. I just wanted to point out, though, like, we have a big problem in this country when Donald Trump is seen as radical. Here is a man that is continuing policies of deportations, and Biden and Obama, for as awful as they were, also deported illegal aliens while they were in office. Donald Trump, who is making peace around the world, saber rattling around other parts. This is par for the course. Donald Trump is not the far right radical. His policies, honestly, Jason, should be bare minimum baseline. Yeah, we should close the border. Yeah, we should deport people. Yeah, we should lock people up like cat that are going to impede federal agents. Yes, we should do all the things Trump is doing, but that should be the starting point, and then let's debate from there how far right we want to go to save this country here. But you talk to a Democrat, and they're like, this is the closest thing to 1930s Europe that we've ever seen. It's like, no, this is baseline of where we have to be as a country. We have gone so far left that just doing moderate policy now is seen as extreme. That is a big problem. I want to get to Martin here. My dear, oh, never mind. I don't want to read that one out loud. All right, I want to do the comic clip, Jason. This is the one I requested today. I'm going to play it. I want to point out how absurd it is. And then we got to get to Minneapolis, because Minneapolis, New York City have incredible elections coming up next Tuesday. And then we have a JD Vance clip that's going to rock your world.
Kidding me. This guy wants to create a ballroom for his rich friends while completely turning a blind eye to the fact that babies are going to starve when the SNAP benefits end in just hours from now. Come on. So what? I'm not going to be distracted by, oh, does the guy have a big fucking hammer? What about those babies?
Right.
All right, Jason. Number one, the language is, you can't avoid it. You can't miss it. It's right there. Remember when Donald Trump wasn't befitting of the White House, and he was too coarse, and he didn't know how to speak, and he was vulgar? I'm listening to Kamala Harris, unhinged, ranting, cursing, the sign, the mark, the hallmark of low IQ here. So spare me all the Democrat outrage about how Trump's a baby and a child and can't speak. This is vile stuff right here. But then it's the connecting of the dots that Democrats are simply unable to do. And I think TDS has made their brain smooth. It eats away at your gray matter. It probably destroys neurons and neural connections. These people think that Trump funding a private ballroom, which we talked about last week on our podcast, folks, somehow him raising money through private donations is the same thing. You know, he can fund the ballroom, but he can't fund SNAP, as if these are the exact same thing. Legislative bodies have to vote on funding ballrooms and SNAP at the same time. It's absurd. This is so absurd. And Democrats think that this argument makes sense. Well, Trump can build a ballroom. Why can't he feed 40 million people? Because it's not the same thing, folks.
I got to say, Todd, I got to start and say you skipped a step, and I got to fact check you. And Mark and Connie came through. Folks, I think we need to establish a rule. I need you to let us know if you're okay with this. A Freedom for the Podcast, American Tribune rule. Anytime we play a Kamala clip, we need everybody to weigh in. Is she drunk or is she not? Like, I think that just needs to be a policy going forward. We aren't big into policies and procedures, but when we play a Kamala clip, first thing needs to be, was she drunk or was she not drunk? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. Because when I saw these clips in this interview, I'm like, that chick's hammered. I've been around a lot of hammered people in my life. I've been hammered myself. She, my friends, is hammered. So let us know in the chat. Do you think she was hammered? Do you not? And Todd, what do you think? Do you think that would be an appropriate Freedom from the Press podcast?
I think it's going to be mandatory, Jason. You and I'm ready for authoritarianism. I'm ready for it on this podcast as well. I will mandate that we always take a poll among our audience. You and I are going to be forced to answer that question every time we listen to her speak. Drunk or not drunk?
Yeah, Todd, I'm going drunk on this one. How about you?
Well, I'm right there with our Facebook comments. Actually, Jason, I'm inspired. I'm going to make a short little video, a little intro video before we play a Kamala. It'll be like a game show, like drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Drunk.
Right. Is she drunk? Is she not?
All right.
Now, I want to say, too, that do you notice where she goes? Babies are going to starve tomorrow. The babies are starving.
I didn't even get
like,
that.
Can you guys be any more dramatic? Like, seriously, nobody is our audience. They're with us.
I think the poll is 100% in the affirmative.
Right. Yeah. Hey, where was that one comment you saw too about somebody about sending money?
Yeah,
to
someone
Venezuela?
disagreed with us, Jason. You know me, I'm a sucker for trolls. I will always let them go to the front of the line. So Don's over on the Facebook saying, send more money to Israel and Venezuela. What starve you own citizens and jail them if you disagree with Trump? He's telling us to wake up because we're supporting the mustache.
Yeah. So truth be told, Don, on this podcast, we are against sending money to Israel and Venezuela. By the way, Democrats are the one that want to send money to Venezuela. And if you disagree with Trump, wake up. We disagree with Trump a lot on this podcast. And we are okay with people disagreeing with Trump. But let me know, Don, and this is why I wanted us to get to that comment. When you saw what Kat did, were you okay with that as a lefty, as a Democrat, as whatever, a much better person than I am? Did you see what Kat did, impeding a federal agent from going out to do their job? Are you cool with that, bro? Like, is that going after somebody disagreeing with Trump? Or is that, no, that person shouldn't have done that? Like, let me know in the chat. But
well,
back to Kamala.
If you were upset about, do you think Don was upset about sending money to Ukraine? Or does he pick and choose what
I bet he has
to get outraged about? You think Don is more like, I have TDS, and so I'm mad about Israel because that's in the news. The Ukraine thing, that's separate. Somehow that's different in Don's world, sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine.
I got to give it up, too, to Francis. Francis might have come in with another option.
Old curveball.
And I think being drunk and high are two different things. So we might need to amend our edict and say drunk, high, or sober. Like, we might have to get more things. Oh, my gosh. And Martin, something happened to your... Wow. They're a little feisty over on the Facebook today. I love it, folks.
I love it.
You guys need to get over on the Rumble. Yeah, it's
Jason, you said something here. I'm surprised neither of us touched on it the first time. There's so much to unpack in this Kamala clip. I want to play it one more time and see if we notice the second plane.
SNAP benefits end in just hours from now? Come on. So what? I'm not going to be distracted by, oh, does the guy have a big fucking hammer? What about those babies?
This is a fascinating talking point from Democrats when they express concern about babies. Babies, in light of the protesting we saw when Roe got overturned, in light of the policies they would try to implement throughout the nation, where abortion, an elective abortion, is okay through 9 months through the entire term of their pregnancy. We have lost, Jason, I saw the stat just the other day, over a quarter of all Gen Z never made it to birth because they were all ended prematurely. And Kamala Harris and Democrats are going to try to roll out the talking point that suddenly they're concerned about babies? No.
I can't even with the, like, A, you go histrionic too, like people are going to die. B, you guys don't like babies. It is insane. But here's what I just don't understand. Nobody starves in America.
Nope.
Like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. I'm not saying there aren't people down. Like, the only way that happens is if you are truly not even reaching out to anybody. You know, they're homeless. There's homeless shelters. There are generous people. There are churches. There are a million ways that we try to take care of each and every one of the people in America that doesn't involve outsourcing that to the government. And when you see these videos of these obese people claiming they're starving to death, it drives me bananas. Like we can show you starving to death, folks. You, Miss 350 pounder, are not starving to death. And that feeling that Americans won't band together and help them out. I mean, like, think of your life, your community. Like, there are food banks. You know, there are 10 ways to get food within like 15 miles of my house, you know, between churches, food banks, feed our starving children, all kinds of things. But that might be part of the problem. Democrats want to outsource taking care of their friends, family, neighbors to the government because they're not getting off their ass. They're not giving money to the food shelf. They're not giving money to the food bank. They're not doing any of those things. And that what makes it difficult.
Jason, as you talked about churches and food banks and all these other things, do you know what you didn't say also? Families. Nobody, very few people, I will say, live on an island unto themselves. They have a network of family. If you are a kid with elderly parents on SNAP, you can help feed your parents. If you are a parent with young kids, you can go get a job and feed your kids. This isn't to say that everybody needs to go work and figure it out. There needs to be a safety net in place on a small level, although I have crossed that threshold and now I just want it all ended because it got abused too much. But your family can help you. Your friends can help you. And again, we would be doing them a service by helping them lose some pounds. We are making some people's lives better by helping them go on a diet in the next couple of days.
Can
Jason,
I give you the punchline? What's that?
Oh, I have one more cat comment. We kind of segued here. Get in there, and then I want to finish up our cat conversation too.
I'm going to put a bow on this SNAP thing too, just kind of to chuckle when you see all this histrionics. I hope everybody watching this podcast realizes that when the government reopens and SNAP benefits are reinstated, if you are eligible for SNAP, we've covered on the podcast the work requirements, you're going to get back pay on your SNAP benefits. Yep. So if the government stays shut for a month, and like SNAP recipients will get back pay. Kamala knows that. All these people know this. So they know these people aren't going to lose a dime in the long term. They're going to have a slight inconvenience getting their welfare bennies. And then, you know, the government's not going to shut down for near as long as I would like. But then when they get turned back on, they're going to get back pay. Kind of a funny thing.
Kind of also depressing. Can you imagine the lump sum of money that's going to go on those accounts, Jason?
Oh, my God. Buckle up. And if you ever want to get blackbilled, go on Amazon and just start searching food and see what's SNAP EBT eligible. Lobster tails, caviar.
They eat better than you. A lot of them eat better than you. Oh, Dee Dee's back. Welcome back, Dee Dee. Yeah, the old grocery run today, better than going tomorrow, just like Jason's going to be doing. I don't think it's going to be as bad as some of these videos are making it out to be, but why? Why chance it?
All right.
All right,
You
I
had
did
a
wanna
cat
get to
comment?
Yeah, I have a cat comment here because this is just like a Mamdani, just like an AOC. Jason, do you think Kat was born down on her luck here, had to scrape by? Her parents were on welfare programs. You know, she eked it out in a public school system and really clawed her way to the top because she was the best and the brightest. Do you think that was her background?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so too. And so I had to double check because I was convinced that this was just a smart, talented young woman that came from nothing and really saw the plights of society firsthand. Would you be surprised to know that Kat Abu, as she was born, apparently, according to Wikipedia, was born to a seventh generation Dallas mother? Father was Palestinian, prominent within Texas politics all those years. Dad started a cozy little commodity trading advisor company, founded a data processing company, became a hedge funds administrator that was later acquired by a very large corporation. That doesn't sound like she ever struggled. Sounds like she enjoyed the privileged life. Her parents were Reagan Republicans, she said. She endorsed Marco Rubio in 2016, had a vision to go to the Air Force Academy or West Point. And by the age of 16, she was sitting on the board of the Arizona Girl Scouts organization. I don't know about you, Jason. When I was 16, I know I had access to all sorts of organizations that I would then sit on a board while I'm a high school sophomore, no less. Gosh, it just seems like every time we see these young communist politicians, they're just like the rest of us.
Right. Yeah. And the dude from New York, his parents are millionaires. He's never had a job. Born Uganda. Yeah, we got to talk Minneapolis and New York before we wrap up the YouTube, Facebook. We're going to pull a clip. I think we almost don't even say anything. We just play the clip. So just to frame it up, next week, mayoral election in New York City. People have heard a lot about it. They are going to elect a Ugandan-born communist to be mayor of New York City. He's a Muslim, and 20-some years after 9/11, I think 26 years, whatever the math is, they're going to elect a foreign-born Muslim to be mayor of New York City. There's a lot going on about him. I'm saying he's going to win by 25 points. Todd, what's your prediction?
Oh, it's a landslide. Yeah. And you know what? The fact that he makes Andrew Cuomo look good, Andrew Cuomo deserves to spend the rest of his life in prison for what he did the last couple of years. But somehow Cuomo seems like the moderate because of how absurd, again, a foreign-born Muslim communist mayoral candidate is. I can't believe we're stringing those words together in the same sentence.
Right. Now I got to say, we want to cover the Minnesota mayoral race. Todd and I are both from Minnesota. I can't pronounce this guy's name. He is a Somali. Technically, he was born in America. They dropped 150,000 Somalis, Obama did, in Minneapolis. They have made almost no attempt to assimilate. They are hugely fraudulent. They just busted up the Feed Our Starving Children. Oh, yeah, there we go. Our Feed Our Starving Children Fund in Minneapolis. It was $250 million of food assistance fraud. It will be the largest dollar and number of people-wise prosecution of fraud in any major city. And this guy, different people say different things. I'm giving him a 60% chance of winning in Minneapolis. And Todd, I think you're right around there, 50-50.
I give him the majority. And again, just for a little context on him, and then we'll play the video. It's insane. He is running against incumbent Jacob Frey. And Jacob Frey proves that you can never be left enough. This is a man that wore a mask and wept at the coffin of St. George Floyd not that long ago. He did everything right. He apologized for his skin color. He practiced self-loathing. He did everything that the leftists demand. But it's never enough for the communist left. You are never good enough, especially if you're white. You have your limitations here. So in comes Mr. Omar Fattah, who, I don't know, Jason, can you imagine the 1-2 punch of him and Ilhan Omar?
Well, yeah, and I got to say, too, you mentioned Fry. Fry is left of AOC.
Yeah.
Like, to put it in perspective. And Democrats, the Democrats Socialist of America, are going to take over Minneapolis City Council. Now, I want you guys pay attention, study his policy platform, And let me, after we play this quick video, let me know what you think of his position and if you can see why Minnesotans are voting for him.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Somalia. Somalia. Hiran State. Mawisle. Mawisle. Early voting was hadda illa November 4. I need your vote. Wani de bahanahay. Wani de bahanahay. I need you. Hadan udkina hello. We're gonna win.
I feel represented by him, Jason.
This was this week as they wrap up to the election on U.S. soil. We have a Somalian waving a Somalian flag, playing Somalian music, speaking in Somalian to a group of Somalians. And they are going to elect this man mayor of Minneapolis. And if he doesn't win, they get somebody further left than AOC. I can't even imagine that. Like, if you would have told me 20 years ago this would happen, I would have been like, we must have lost a war or something, right? We're just letting all these people from other countries in and letting them speak their own language and live their own cultures. I think it was Dee Dee put in the chat about doctors mutilating young girls. We can't get into it on some of these platforms, but they've arrested a couple doctors for performing, they call it female circumcision in Minnesota. Pretty graphic. It's a Muslim practice where they remove girl parts so that they can't enjoy intercourse because in their faith they can't. It's against the law in America, and there are people, nobody's disputing they did it. They're saying he should have been able to do it because there's cultural differences. So even something like that, like as a parent, you can't, in Minnesota, you can't teach your kid not to be trans, but you can mutilate the genitals of your daughter. That's okay. Todd, what other thoughts do you have on Minneapolis?
Yeah, well, Market Zero would say, I think this counts as being conquered. I would agree with Market Zero. It's also interesting, Jason, there is, let's say, growing hesitancy to participate in formerly accepted medical practices as a parent with your children on regular intervals with doctor visits here. Next time, folks, here's a fun game to play. The next time you read about a measles outbreak in Minnesota, you're going to hear who is getting blamed for it. It will be the white, crunchy granola families that opt out of certain medical practices. And you would probably not be surprised. And again, I'll let you find the next headline for that to do a little history of the last measles outbreaks in Minnesota. Jason, would you be shocked to learn that it's always these people?
No. Now, you know, some things like measles, if you cure it and you don't let people in with measles, turns out you don't get measles. I mean, I'm no expert. Don't take, you know, I'm not giving your, I'm not giving medical advice. Oh, yeah, one language, one flag. Todd, I think we're coming up on an hour. We should probably log off Facebook and the YouTube. We're still streaming live on the Twitter. I'm at JRob from MN. We're on the at American Tribune. And Todd, yours is goofy, isn't it? Todd Peterson over on the
Todd Amtrib, I think it is. Yeah, I almost want to start over on Twitter.
Yeah. And then we're also on the Rumble. And I'm going to say, if you're going to tune into us, tune in on the Rumble channel. Rumble, I'll let you give your Rumble spiel. And then maybe on the way out, we're going to play this JD Vance clip that had people losing their mind. Because if I comment on it, they're going to strike our Facebook page.
Well, folks, before we do that, we had Paul Reese in the chat earlier in the show here. Paul's always on the road somewhere hanging out with Dad. Folks, if you want to support a disabled veteran-owned coffee company right here in our backyard in Minnesota here, Paul makes some delicious coffee at splitrockcoffee.com. You can go to splitrockcoffee.com, use promo code TODD10 to fill up your mug every morning. You can subscribe and save, have your delicious preferential coffee choice delivered right to your door. Never waste time in the grocery store again. Never compete with the EBT crowd as well moving forward. I don't know if they drink coffee. They probably go right to the champagne aisle with their EBT checks. But folks, splitrockcoffee.com, promo code TODD10. And we are heading over to, as Market Zero says, Rumble. Get ready to rumble, Jason. We have a spicy lineup here. We got JD Vance in immigration and neighbors. And we have some Democrats, prominent Dems in politics and media, saying that, you know what, it might be time to Charlie Kirk all of us here. So Jason and I have got to talk about that. We cannot say that on Facebook, can't say that on YouTube, because unlike those platforms, Rumble is a free speech platform. We can say what we want, we can speak the truth, and that's where we're going to head next year. So folks, if you are watching us on Facebook, thanks for joining us today. The podcast is not over. Again, our Facebook audience, you can go to rumble.com. You can get the app on your phone. It has a green play button, just like YouTube's red play button. The only difference is you don't get struck down or censored for speaking what is true. So rumble.com, search out the American Tribune. Here's JD Vance. We'll see you on the other side, folks.
House is actually evicted from the house because there are people who are going to pay more for rent. And then what happens is 20 people move into a 3-bedroom house, 20 people from a totally different culture, totally different ways of interacting. Again, we can respect their dignity while also being angry at the Biden administration for letting that situation happen and recognizing that their next door neighbors are going to say, well, wait a second, what is going on here? I don't know these people. They don't speak the same language that I do. And because there are 20 in the house next door, it's a little bit rowdier than it was when there was just a family of 4, a family of 5. It is totally reasonable and acceptable for American citizens to look at their next door neighbors and say, I want to live next to people who I have something in common with. I don't want to live next to 4 families of strangers.